Pressure? What pressure? United saw out a 1-0 win on Saturday lunchtime to put Salford to the sword and maintain the 2-point gap to fourth thanks to a huge header from man of the match James Gibbons. Strap in for some match analysis and plenty of run-in chat. I'm Julian Roberts. Alongside me is my good friend Jules and Jord. How are you, mate?
Good evening, Mr. Roberts. I am doing pretty well, thank you. Even though Saturday was relatively easy come the end of it, I'm such a nervous Cambridge fan that the thought of 8 more afternoons,
I know,
/ evenings / Thursday evenings like that is not good for me old ticker. So
yeah, the change from the level of nerves for the last 20 minutes to the feeling of the full-time whistle was pretty extreme, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. But got the job done. Exciting times.
Got the job done, didn't we? It's one of those, Tom, isn't it, where like we spoke recently about like actually trying to pause and enjoy it. But when you're watching, as we just said, that last 20 minutes, half an hour yesterday, it is hard to actually enjoy it in the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. I think after the full-time whistle, we were sort of chatting afterwards, and it was like, well, actually, if you look back at it and you analyse it, it was actually fine. It was actually a relatively easy thing. But yeah, for the last sort of half an hour or so, I did spend quite a lot of time saying, I thought this was like, supposed to be a bit of a laugh. But it's actually deeply, deeply traumatic.
Yeah. It is.
But yeah, I mean, like, I remember what it was like in the lockdown season. There's something very different about being there and experiencing it. And I guess there's similarities with the Great Escape year. But it didn't feel like that there was that much of that during that year. It was just that one afternoon at the end of the season when we stayed up against Forest Green. But yeah, it's actually turned out to be genuinely quite unenjoyable. So
yeah, well, eight more games to go, Tom. So that's the spirit. Yeah, it was a great afternoon. I think you can hear from probably our voices and tones that we've got a few sore heads here at UTAS HQ. Bit of over celebrating maybe could be going on. Jord, talk to me about the game. Talk to me about your view from the main stand of the game as a whole.
Well, as always, lovely view up in the B block. Had a visitor with me as well.
You did? I was just going to say.
Mr. Jack Swindlehurst. So if anyone's listening to this and noticed more swearing in the B block on Saturday, I can only apologise. Sorry about that. I thought it was a really good game, actually. I thought there were two really good sides. I thought we were excellent apart from in and around the final third. First half in particular. Wasteful seems like a harsh word, but I don't know, not effective or efficient enough in and around the box. Maybe. Clinical, yeah. Great word. Yeah, great word. Journalist. Here's that journalist coming out. But it's a concern, isn't it? Sort of like, you know, the clear-cut chances and the number of goals we score. And I know, you know, we scored 5 against Gillingham the other week, and actually we are, 6th or 7th top scorers in the division, as Caspel's pointed out. But there's still, I don't know, still just sort of feels like not a thing that we do. And I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that we're on top so much and we're not putting teams away. But other than that, yeah, I thought we were really, really good value for the win. I think we deserved it. I think we were proactive. I think we were brave. I think we nullified their threats. I think the changes that Harris made in switching to the back five was a good idea, and it worked. And yeah, really, really enjoyed the first half. The second half, you know, as we've mentioned, was a trickier and a tougher watch, especially those last 20 minutes. But you know, we came out really well after halftime, scored at a really important time. And yeah, I think we controlled the game after going ahead, and other than one really big chance for them, which Jake Eastwood did a terrific save for, it didn't feel like they were knocking on the door. It didn't feel like we were in danger too much. And it was just nice to see it across the line. And I remember turning to Swindle about the 88th minute when Shane Lavery was in the far corner in front of the south stand trying to sort of shield the ball in the corner. And I said to Swindle, you know, it ends well from here, you know, being up in that end of the pitch in the corner at 1-0 in a top of the table clash, like this ends well for us, of course. So yeah, nice to get that win. And then obviously the early kickoff factor as well, and MK losing. It was good little early afternoon. Shame the rest of the afternoon and results didn't follow.
Yeah, but we did our job, didn't we? And that's all we can do. But you're so right to mention MK as well, because I think that was a factor to the sort of enjoyment or the opportunity that we knew we had if we could see it over the line. Because seeing Barnet pull it back, score 3 goals, win 3-1 up at MK, does sort of make the title race still interesting, I think, considering obviously we go to Bromley. We've got running chat later in the running order, though, so we will come to that. Tom, the week as a whole, I think, is also something worth mentioning just before we go into like specific match action, of which, thankfully, unlike Thursday's pod, Friday's pod, there is a lot to talk about with Saturday rather than the 0-0 draw at Walsall. But the week as a whole, 3 games, 7 points, and 3 clean sheets. It's pretty good, isn't it?
It's not bad. I think it's a pretty good effort, really, all things considered. And yeah, I think rounding the week off in the way that we did, obviously beating Salford, I think it's really good just because like the chat on Thursday, I think Friday. Oh, dear.
What is this Thursday chat that you're talking
Tom
of?
can't get it in our heads, mate.
Were you having another mixed grill on Thursday night?
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to?
No. We had a massive one on Friday morning, very, very early. Don't worry about it. But I nearly said it again then. The Friday show. But after Walsall, we were starting, I think, to edge towards quite twitchy with the way that other results had gone, and understandably so. And I think with a couple of these games recently, with like Accrington and like MK and like Walsall, you thought, one, it puts a lot of pressure on the following game or games, but those results individually look a lot better for having backed them up and reacted with wins. And that's what it's all about. I think Saturday against Walsall was, there's a few individual performances there, but it's kind of the Neil Harris show, isn't it, really? It's everything that he is. It epitomised him as a manager, really, I think, in terms of the way we played. I think there was some really good quality bits of in-game management in there as well, which obviously we'll talk about. And this week, the stats are laid bare there with 7 points from 3 games and no goals conceded, platforms to build on and all that. We've just got put ourselves in a great spot. These promotion hunts are relentless because it feels like when you go on the sort of run that we have been on and kind of under the radar, we're going on quite another lengthy unbeaten run. I think it's 9 unbeaten now. Maybe not quite as packed full of wins. Obviously, there's a few draws in there, but we're just a really decent side at this level. A really, really decent side, and one of a few that are sort of up the top end of the table. I agree with Jord. I think Salford probably are a good side. I think probably a better side than they showed. I wasn't majorly impressed with them, but yeah, I think it's a really good week and one that there's tougher fixture on the horizon and now firmly in the run-in does give you a bit of a. I was trying to think of something that isn't platform to build on there, but it gives you a platform to build on. Yeah.
It is, yeah. Harris was very keen to point out, I think both in the club interview he did and the BBC Cambridgeshire one, the first thing I think he says in both of them is, how good does Tuesday's point look now? And I think I maybe should reevaluate my own opinion of Tuesday, because I was maybe a little bit on the more cynical side or a bit more down on it as a point, considering everyone else had won, which I know is out of our hands. But the way that second half went, and without repeating everything, and I'm not sure Walsall were like up to that much. I think we easily had enough to win the game and didn't maybe do everything we could to win it. But I think what I want to reevaluate is what it did is put extra pressure on Saturday and beating Salford, like beating them, not just drawing. But now that we've done that and we've shown up in the way that we did, it just, as you say, Tom, it's the platform. It gives you the confidence to know that when Swindon come to town and when Notts County come to town and those other massive games the next couple of weeks, we're like really good at stepping up to those occasions. And you can tell that that's the thing that yesterday really sort of confirmed for me.
There was a point on Saturday when Newport were 1-up against Walsall, and I was like, that draw at Walsall, we're useless. What is this?
Exactly.
Fortunately, they turned that one around, and it made me feel a bit better. But yeah, no, it's a great week, isn't it? And it's just the time of year as well. Pitches still aren't that great. They're starting to show their tire as well. It's been a long sort of winter, a lot of games. So yeah, it's been a really good week in terms of the time of year that it is as well.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, definitely.
Plus, I was also in the amber angle, so that just adds to the week, right? Just a little cherry on the
man.
top there. There you go. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Oh yeah, is that you riding the bike in the amber angle? Is that where you got that from that you sent in the chat earlier?
Absolutely. I mean, some people will be questioning why I was riding my bike there. You know, a lot of people walking on that path. Why don't you get off and, you know, give way? But no, it made for good content.
You take the law into your own hands, don't you, mate?
Did you know who the person was who high-fived you?
It's Tom Dobbin, mate.
Oh, is it?
Friend of this pod.
Friend of the pod, Tom
okay.
Friend of the
Dobbin.
pod. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Well, we've been accused of it being a setup, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's pure friendship there, captured on film.
Wow. How nice. Look how
What
football
a
brings people
glorious
together. Let's talk about another glorious moment. James Gibbons scoring the winner. His performance as a whole. Jord, I'll start with you. Simon's asked, I put this question in. I think Watts will win it, but is there an argument for Gibbons to be player of the season? His pure determination to win in defence and attack, he wears he wears on his sleeve. We're lucky to have a player willing to fight for the club that much. I think he really is in with a shout for man of the match. Player of the season, definitely man of the match.
He won that one, mate.
He won that one, yeah. I agree that Watts will probably win it, but Gibbons is a close second, isn't he? I mean, yesterday, just what a brilliant performance from him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Watts will win it, and deservedly so. He's had a terrific season, and he's had a really good comeback given how difficult last year was for the defence. But at full time, I turned to Swindle and said exactly the same thing as Simon's question there. I think Gibbons is playing himself into player of the season territory now, and those conversations. And there's a few layers to why he's doing that. It's the performances, obviously, and we saw another one on Saturday. There's also the utility and the sort of the clubman like nature of it. He's played centre back, right back, left back this season. He's putting a shift in.
I think he played all their positions yesterday.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
exactly.
I think he might have done that in 90 minutes. Yeah.
And because we're not scoring goals, he goes up the other end and chips in there as well. But also just the other thing. What's the word for this? Kind of like a personality element to it as well. I think we spoke earlier in the season about, were we as fond of this team, or were we growing as fond as this team compared to other promotion winning teams? And I think we all were landing on the no, not yet, not quite sort of position on that. But I think he really stands out as being, I don't know, someone that shows a little bit more, and sort of that is picked up by the fans and lends himself to the fan base. I don't know if it's his, if it's his passion, cheeky little knee in the back of a player on Saturday, putting that little bit extra in, or just the commitment. But, one of the things that Neil Harris speaks about is the heart that the James Gibbons shows. So I think it's that sort of also sort of puts him into the conversation as well for me. And yeah, I think he was terrific on Saturday, especially going forward. I think that's a sort of an underrated part of his game, not the goal scoring bit, but the way that he was linking up with Liam Bennett and Ben Knight, and some of the triangles that they were playing, and moving the box around on the edge of the box was really pleasing on the eye. And it's kind of an element of his game that I've been surprised to see this year, like how good he is around the box, passing and crossing, plenty of assists as well. So yeah, absolutely playing his way into being one of the players of the season for me, for sure.
It's also to do, I think, with the expectation, isn't it? I was the first one probably on this very podcast to say that I thought he was I wasn't massively blown away by him as a signing, if I'm honest, like taking him on permanently. I thought he was fine, very utility, very workmanlike, but I think just the way he stepped up this season and the goals he scored, they've all been quite big goals. Like yesterday, obviously a match winner. The one at Fleetwood wins the game with 5:10 to go. And then I think he opened the scoring against Accrington, didn't he? Just before half time at home. And they're all like pretty big moments in the season, really, like to set us on our way. So there's that as well, like kind of coming up clutch. The header itself, Tom, shades of Rory McCauley at Luton here for me. Ironside at Pompey as well, maybe.
Yeah, McCauley at Luton is the one that came to my mind straight away. That was a good night as well. Yeah, brilliant. I think George kind of summarised it nicely there. He mentioned something about the personality part of it. I was just looking at his stats from the game yesterday. Impressive that he's been able to get himself booked without committing a single foul.
Really? Is that true?
Which I think adds a seasoning of context that he might be a bit of an underrated shithouse as well, which is not always a bad thing.
Love that.
But yeah, I mean, he was great. I think versatility is the thing that was most impressive. I mentioned it in jest. I mean, I don't know if he played it. He probably wouldn't have filled in at right back when we switched to a 4, but he'd certainly played at left back on the left of the 4, and obviously as a centre back yesterday. Just graphs, doesn't he? Like it just put in a really good shift, and I think the part about going forward is important as well. Obviously, he gets his goal, which is a really good header. It's a strange goal because it doesn't feel like we've done anything particularly good, but it's like gone in the back of the net. And
yeah,
I mean, look, Salford. I've watched Carl Robinson's interview, so I know that he's quite miffed about the whole thing, whether it was or wasn't a free kick, and then the absence of any marking or anything resembling marking from their side would obviously be frustrating. But yeah, it was a surprising one. Just comes out of nowhere. But I think the point about him getting forward, I think, is a really good one. Because not only that, but he did also have that opportunity in the first half, which probably about 30% of the ground thought did go in. Which we were chatting to one of our mates at half time. It was like, why did I get disallowed?
You've got to score first, mate.
Like, no,
there's a guy sat in front of me in the main stand. Like, I was on my feet cheering. And this guy turns around and said, "You convinced me that was in, even though I saw that it clearly wasn't, just based on my reaction."
Embarrassing. I was fully sold, to be fair.
Yeah, poor linesman apparently was getting absolutely dog's abuse.
Yeah, done nothing wrong.
James Gibbons arriving late and slamming one into the side netting. Is what it is, I guess. But yeah, like a really good shift. I mean, I guess the player of the season chat's one for a later moment, but certainly, I think as Tiger Woods used to say, it's not always about being the best, but certainly being in the conversation. That's what it's all about. And he's right up there. And yeah, a really good performance against a tricky opponent. I think, like I mentioned earlier on, that I wasn't like massively impressed with Salford, but the one thing that you can see quite clearly from watching them on Saturday was that you can tell why they're effective. Like, you can tell how they'd win games of football, because I thought Stockton and Graydon were, without really doing too much and without really like actually, scaring us too much. Like, you can tell they're a bit of a handful. Very good players at this level, and Gibbons just basically held them at arm's length all afternoon. Obviously not on the one occasion where it was the opposite of arm's length. It was knee and back. But yeah, it is what it is.
That put paid to Ryan Graydon's afternoon. But yeah, I think there was a moment just before then in the second half where their front three would have been Graydon, Danny Udo, and Fabio Barini. Which, I mean, if you've got that sort of firepower at this level, like you're going to be a decent side. But I'd agree that my sort of summary of Salford is like good individual players, easily enough to win a lot of games. But I'm not sure if like you could see the difference in terms of like, I don't know, structurally, or like how solid we were compared to them. And you could tell that there was like, you always felt like we had a chance in the game. They weren't like particularly, they didn't scare me defensively in terms of how solid they were. And obviously, I mean, we end up scoring from a set piece, but we've created enough other chances to score. The header, by the way, that he scores, Gibbons, is 0.02 XG. He's like basically only just inside the box. It's amazing like how far out he is, and it loops so high.
It's one of those headers that I guarantee you, as the years go by, we'll add on a yard every time.
Yeah.
And we'll be looking back on this. We'll be doing a 10-year anniversary pod in 2036 of that year we got promoted. We'll be like, oh, Gibbons scored that header from just outside the box.
His own box. Amazing moment. I'm glad you didn't miss it as well, Tom. You just snuck in behind as the free kick was being taken.
Yeah, I did.
Actually, as we were celebrating, I was stood with Matt Caspel from the pod, and the first thing he said to me was, "Tom's missed it," and then you were right behind us.
No. So I was a few moments late returning from the second half. I didn't see the foul. I wasn't properly watching for the cross going in, so the first thing I really saw was the ball sort of looping in to the bottom corner, which is a great way to start start watching a game of football, I suppose.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
I saw it. I was there, and I was there. Moment.
Just a shame it wasn't up the other end of the ground, wouldn't it? That would have been a proper great moment.
Oh, do you know what? I kind of think I like the goal more because it was that end.
Oh, do you think?
I
I
think
don't
like
know.
the depth
Yeah, I agree with
behind the
you.
goal, and I don't know. It seems to sort of tally with it being far out in the loop. I don't know. I
I don't
think
know.
if it.
I know what you mean, but I'm just talking about the celebration. Like it being
Oh,
doing it in
sure,
front of the
sure.
NRE. Like it's just a shame to not be attacking that second half. I know what you mean though about the goal itself. Yeah, I'm with you.
Take that Foundation Day
Yeah,
folk in the
exactly.
South
Yeah,
Stand. You
yeah,
don't
yeah,
deserve it.
yeah, yeah.
You're mean.
Let's talk about a few of the other chances. Let's go through the game. We've talked about that Gibbons one. You were totally gone for that, were you, George? You said you were just completely convinced it was in.
Yeah, I was up. I was up.
A note for
I think
Watts'
I've.
cross as well. You must have had a lovely view on the ball in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's becoming a bit of a habit, isn't it? Kel Watts getting involved in. I was going to say goals. It still didn't go in Jordan, but like good attacking play. You know, we spoke after the Accrington game and his involvement in that, and yeah, he's got a decent cross on him, and it's one of those where if you have got that back five, it's good to see them sort of pushing forward and trying to sort of break lines and get involved in the attacking outlet to sort of ease the burden of the rest of the midfield. Even though I think Ruddock and Ball had an exceptionally good afternoon, but yeah, it was a terrific cross, and yeah, still not sure how it's not gone in. I've
I
watched
know.
it back a couple of times. I love that. Neil Harris said after the game, Gibbo was really disappointed and upset at halftime they hadn't scored, and he went and righted that wrong, didn't he?
Went and made up for it with a much more difficult chance. I was going to say that exact point that Harris had said that he was a bit gutted with himself or like angry at himself. The other chance in the first half, the sort of really big moment that we have is the breakaway, which I keep calling Knight's chance, even though it's actually Kai Kai that has the shot. But there's a reason that I'm saying that. But I'd like to get your take on it, Tom. But just quickly, also just a note from the flick round the corner that sets the whole thing up, which I think is Kai Kai on about the halfway line, which is
Yeah,
just
right.
sensational.
Yeah, really good. Really good move. Our XG for the game is under one, so obviously it's just to create a huge amount of quality. But I think this was the one moment really where you're probably your two best attacking players really have combined so well, and that touch is brilliant, and Knight's reading of it is so good as well. Um, and yeah, the way it played out was just like a little bit frustrating. Obviously, Knight's got three options. He's got Apre to his left. He's got taking the shot on himself. He's got Kai Kai to his right. And for me, he should be taking one of two, which is either he takes it on himself or he gives it to Kai Kai. But I felt when he gave it to Kai Kai, it was just a little bit early, just a little bit early. Arguably, Kai Kai can do a little bit better, but I think by the time Knight passes the ball, probably he's better off just shooting, to be honest. So yeah, like it was really frustrating. I mean, it's another one of those what if moments for Ben Knight because obviously he had his infamous, well, not infamous, I suppose famous, we'll go with that, overhead kick attempt against Walsall, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Which would have been brilliant. This would have been another moment of really, really high quality from us. But yeah, not to be. It was a bit of a frustration. And you talk about important moments in games. I think we felt at the time that was the opportunity to get ourselves ahead, and it would have been a lead that we probably really would have deserved. On the balance of play in the first half. But yeah, just frustrating we couldn't quite make it count, I guess, because I think it deserved a goal, really.
I was just going to say, great that he injured a defender though, like to sort of make up for it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Maybe he'd have been marking Gibbo for the goal second half. You never know. Yeah, I'm with you, Tom. I kind of think Knight should take the shot on himself because I think he's sort of created the space there. And there's two chances at a rebound, which I know isn't how he would be thinking. But if he's putting it on target and keeper's not holding on to it, if he parries it anyway, you'd think Kai Kai Rapper's got a chance of being first to the ball. So I'd have backed Knight to shoot there as well. But it all happens very quickly, doesn't it? And I think maybe it's just one of those little examples, and it's not really a criticism, but I'm sure it's probably an example of Knight hasn't actually played a lot of senior football for a guy who's 23, I think he is. And obviously he's had a really impressive youth career, but he's not actually played. This is his first proper season where he's playing double-digit number of games. So I wonder if there's a bit of just decision making that can come with like experience in these moments. And I can only imagine he'll get better. It's not really a big criticism of a guy who is just like those little mazy runs he goes on. Like when you see, especially when it's down the other end of the pitch and he's kind of going diagonally or like sideways, it's just amazing. It's so balletic. Whole first half, sort of as a whole, Jord. When you watch extended highlights, it's basically just us. It's all us. We said just before we started recording, I don't think I'd quite clocked. If you watch the highlights, we're like completely dominant, and I thought we deserved to win the game, but wouldn't have used the word dominant. Probably those two chances in the second half that we'll talk about sort of clouding my judgment a little bit there. But what do you think the message would have been at half time? Because Salford only had one shot in the first half from outside the box off target, and they had two touches in our box the whole half. So do you think it was just more of the same?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was an exceptional first half. I think the first half was much, much better than second half, and that seems odd considering that we won the game in the second half. But yeah, there were some really good movements. The defence were terrific and really held their ground exceptionally well. And yeah, I think the message at halftime would be more of the same. Don't let your standards drop, but try and find a way to find that cutting edge. So whether it's to be a little bit quicker, a little bit more proactive, maybe a little bit braver, that might have been the message.
Yeah, I think a bit of, and like you said at the top, a bit more clinical maybe, just like make those chances count. Let's do the two big moments of the second half because I'm really interested. The first one, Eastwood's, I'm calling it a brain fart. I'm not quite sure what he's up to. Jord, did you have a better view of it than me? Because it was a little bit sort of side on. You don't get a good view of anything in the NRE, but it's an odd moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I know you want to talk about the moment, but all I want to talk about is the redemption straight after where he tries to take someone's head off, which was a great moment of the season. Yeah, I don't know, maybe he's misjudged the pace of the ball or the pace of the attacker. Like maybe he's thinking it was going to, go out of play or be able to shield it out. I don't get why he's not in that moment when he realises that perhaps it's not moving that quick or the player's breathing down his neck, not just put it out into the Habin, but... It was a hairy moment, and the clearance that he does do then lands with a Salford player. They crouch into the box, and you just know where this is going, what's gonna happen here, and especially because up until that point, I think I'm right in saying that Eastwood hadn't had to do an awful lot. I mean, he made some good saves later in the game, which we'll touch on for sure, but I think up until that moment, he hadn't really been tested. So you could just see the headline, everyone does all this great work and then he messes it up. But yeah, good reaction from all of the defence really to get men back to block it out. And yeah, it fell to Eastwood to do a pretty good save himself. So perhaps he was just bored and he wanted to, spice up his afternoon a little bit. But don't do it again. That'd be great. And then the moment after that, which was just peculiar because it didn't feel like the Salford player, was it Perini? I can't remember who it was, but didn't feel like they were encroaching on him or not moving away. So I don't know if he was just annoyed at what had gone on just prior, but absolutely levered it into that guy's head really hard.
I think it was Udo, yeah.
That was right in line with us. That was great.
Yeah.
Bullet like.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe he was just bored. Maybe that's it. We're too good defensively. He's got to create chances for the opposition to have something to do. And not long after that, I thought the redemption arc you were going to say, apart from trying to take Daniel Udo's head off, is the one-on-one that Graydon has. And the whole first half, Tom, we were saying the one thing about Salford that the reason you really do want that buffer of a second goal is with all that attacking talent, they will have a big chance. They will be able to create something. And that moment came when Graydon sent through down their right hand side, if you see what I mean. And Eastwood makes a great save with a part of his body that I think he might have regretted getting such a forceful strike on. But a big moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. If you look up the phrase "took one for the team" on the internet, there will be a picture of Jake Eastwood taking one squarely on the appendage for to say one-on-one. I suppose there's some sort of crude joke about the ref stopping the game because of a head injury in there. But
Oh God, Jesus! Monday morning for people listening.
It's a family pod, Tom.
yeah, but we'll leave that. It was a good save. Let's get it back on track. Yeah. Really good stuff. I think another moment to just shed a lot of praise really on a player who I think probably in a similar way to Gibbons when he signed. Although obviously Gibbons is a little while ago that he signed for us now, but I think one that maybe we maybe didn't see the best of in League One, but he was obviously in a poor side, and obviously this season I think we fully expected he'd be second fiddle to Liam Bennett pretty much from the get go, and he's obviously established himself as a firm first choice in this team and this system, and actually regardless of system, I think. And Eastwood's another one who, when he signed, I think I think probably it's one sign that we've made probably since Ryan Loft, where he's been so roundly written off as a poor piece of business from the very, very beginning. And I think he's kept the most clean sheets in England this season, so he's obviously having a good one. And not too much of a stretch to say a match-winning save there yesterday, even if probably he would rather have saved it either with a different part of his body or just wished it didn't happen at all, which I can't blame him for, to be honest. But I think just a really good bit of business. It seems kind of week on week. The brain fart is a bit of a strange one, but he's a League Two goalkeeper. Like, these things are going to happen. I'm just glad again that it didn't result in a goal. And the other thing I'd say is that if it is just because of boredom, it would be great if our goalkeeper isn't getting bored an hour into a crunch promotion fixture. But other than that, all things considered, another good afternoon in the office.
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually had a question in on that, but you've basically answered. But I'll ask Jord as well to get his take from James, which is, which player has surprised you most this season? Eastwood for me, best keeper we've had in years. You agree with that, Jord?
Yeah, I think it's three names for this for surprise, and one of those names arguably not so much, and that's Kel Watts, because he's obviously had sort of good seasons before joining us. But yeah, his turnaround, Kel Watts, has definitely been surprising to me. And then it is a shoot off between Eastwood and Gibbons in terms of the arc of their season and the performances and the surprise nature of it. So yeah, definitely those three. I think Eastwood probably shades it for me. It's just been so reliable. Some big saves, some penalty saves. I don't know if I'd say best keeper in years. That might be a little bit too far for me to commit to at this point. We can, we should and we can point to the fact that he is part of a very good defensive unit. The whole, front sort of back three and the wing backs in front of him and the defensive midfield play have all been terrific. But yeah, he's been a big part of that for sure.
Every week when Ben Griffiths does his match previews, where it's like 3 things to watch out from the numbers for the opposition, which under the abbeystand.com, if you want to be a Coconut Tin member and get them for every single game, head over there. He always says, the data always says that we concede really low quality chances. So of course Eastwood's part of that as well. That's not like trying to take anything off him, but it is, you're right to mention the unit as a whole, which I want to mention at the end of the match stuff as well. So we'll come on to that in a second. A couple of other little things from the second half I think that we should talk about. Tom, we went 4 at the back on, I've got it around the 55th minute. I can't quite remember exactly, but we clocked it early on in the second half after we'd gone 1 up. Pushed Brophy up, kind of went to a 4-2-3-1, I think was probably closest thing you'd describe it. And then Mayer came on, I guess because of the game state, Mayer was playing a little bit more defensively anyway, just in the way that there was 20 minutes left and one goal ahead. But he was still kind of a left winger, not a left back from what I could see. Left wing back, sorry. I mean, is this just a case of Harris just can't help himself going 4 at the back? Because I just thought everything was working pretty nicely as it was. And that chance that Graydon has kind of comes down our left-hand side. I'm not sure how much fault there is there, but potentially if you're 5, there's a bit more cover potentially for that ball going over the top.
Yeah, I think actually it's a really good bit of management, to be honest. And I'll start this just by saying that I think one of the discussions that we had at half time was along the lines of basically make some subs now because there's a couple of things there which we didn't quite feel were working out as we'd want them to. And I think that would have been a little knee jerk. I think I was sort of pushing for give it 5, give it 10 minutes. Let's see how it sort of pans out. And then obviously Gibbons scores. So I think just kind of keeping his powder dry a little bit, I think was one really good bit of in-game management. But this one for me, I think was just really good. It was the 54th minute because we switched to quarter back while Salford were making their subs. So they made a triple sub, which included Barini and Udo coming on, and we went forward at the back to I suppose just match them up a little bit, I think. But it was good. I think this is more of just reacting like within a game. So I don't really see it as anything around like I just can't help himself from going forward at the back. I don't really think this one fits in that category quite as much as like Walsall did, for example. But yeah, I thought it might be a temporary thing. I thought it might just be, look, we'll do this for sort of 10, 15 minutes, see how it plays out, and then maybe switch again. But no, we just switched with it. We looked fairly comfortable, and as you said, kept him pretty much at arm's length with with the exception of Graydon going through on goal, to basically no other real opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good shout to sort of commend it as a bit of in-game management, because it's quite a big shift, really, as we said earlier, with like Gibbons switching sides and the whole makeup of the team and the tactics changed, didn't it?
I think for me, it's more the fact that he was so proactive to Salford making 3 subs, which in most fixtures would be the sort of subs that win you a game if you bring players of Barini and Udo on, that sort of quality. But Harris is able to recognise it, think about it, about what the possibilities are and what impact that might bring. And basically just think of a solution which is going to just nullify it, and that's basically what he's done. So yeah, really, really good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on that same theme, it's worth mentioning our own subs, which came not too much later than that. And I just remember thinking, my God, you're able to bring on Shane Lavery, Corey Smith, and Adam Mayer in one triple sub on the 68th minute. That was just thinking like, wow, that's a serious amount of depth we've ended up building up in this squad now, if they're the 3 players you can bring on to sort of see a game out. And I know that's a point we've mentioned on this pod a couple of times over the last few months, which is just amazing. And Jord, I want to talk about Lavery a little bit here, because I actually thought he had he did his job really well, ran the channels really well. His hold-up play I thought was excellent. And then he gets that one chance, and he gets the chance, and it's the sort of chance that we say, if that's Lavery, then it's a goal. This time it was Lavery, and it wasn't a goal.
I'm really loving this last 30 minutes, 20 minutes role for Shane Lavery. I think I've said on previous pods that I'm loving it so much I probably would keep him on next season. I'd love it even more if he buries those kind of chances in sort of top of the table clashes. We've got a couple more coming up, so he's got time to redeem himself. But yeah, first half, some of the chances that fell to us, you just thought, if Lavery's on the pitch, that goes in.
Well, the Kai one's a good example. We said it at half time. We went, if that's Lavery, it's a goal.
Exactly. And do you know what? It was a great move. Am I right in thinking Ben Knight was involved? Who had a sort of
probably. Yeah,
let's
just assume so.
Who had a slightly quieter second half compared to how great he was in the first half, but yeah, fell to him really nicely. Split those 2 centre backs, running in. Perhaps it just gets a little bit trapped under his feet. Doesn't quite connect with it as well as he should. And really, like, the second half is a tale of 2 sort of one-on-one chances where both should be goals and neither were. So yeah, it's a let off that he's not buried it. But yeah, like you say, he had a terrific cameo. His work rate, his work down the channels, arguably was doing more in terms of hold up compared to Apparay. So yeah, good afternoon.
Much of an argument in it, mate. I think that's really solid. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Just a shame he didn't get the goal to go with it, and also I had 2-1 Lavery on Moosenet, so it would have really helped me as well, which is the main thing.
Few people around us had 2-0 Lavery on Moosenet, so that's gutting. Do you think there's a little bit, though? I agree with you. I love in this sort of, we've said it before, but this like Wes-like type of system we've got going on with Lavery, where we kind of know that this works, like just do 20, 30 minutes at the end of games. Obviously Wes's was just play Saturday, but kind of got this like system that seems to be working with him. But do you think there's anything in, he might be a bit rusty because he's not, when you just play 20, 30 minutes of games as a striker, you maybe don't get chance to like play your way into the pace of the game quite so much. So when a chance like that comes along, you're not quite as up to speed. And I don't know, maybe over the course of weeks and months, he's not getting the same like consistent game time to get into like a rhythm. If you see what I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just I'm kind of just making that up, but
No,
in it.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But he's also coming on against a tiring defence, so you would
True.
then sort of balance it up to say that maybe that counters the rustiness. But you know, he's class is permanent, and he has the class, and I'm not sure I'd buy the rustiness from someone with his profile.
No, I think you're probably right. He's too good to not think that he should just bury that chance if it's his first touch or his. Oh, and also we saw him against Tranmere come on and score with basically his first touch of the ball. So there probably isn't much in it. It's just one of those things, wasn't it? The last thing I think we need to talk about in the second half is the penalty appeal, which is it's basically on stoppage time, isn't it? It's right at the end of the game. Live from the NRE, Tom, I don't know about you, but I thought it looked exactly like MK's one. Like from literally the line he's running, the way that the feet they're coming together, the way they're like feet clash, and this one didn't get given. Watching it back, I'm not so convinced. What's your take on it?
Kind of similar. More in that, like during the game, yes. Afterwards, no. Now you've done this based on your own analysis of it, and that's fine. I've gone down the conspiracy theory route.
Of course you have.
Where's my tinfoil?
Do you still want to talk about the penalty or something?
No, yeah, this is yet more UTAS after dark content that I'm about to go into. That's an extra level.
A month.
Yeah. No, during the game I was like, that's a stonewall of penalties you're ever going to see. However, and again, I did say that this was very, very 26 when we were chatting about this before we started recording, and I kind of hate myself for bringing it up actually. But on Pelly Rodley's Instagram story, which is not a sentence I thought I'd be starting when we started recording, he's basically made a reference to Tom Daley, so I think he might have dived.
It looks a bit divey, I've got to say, when I watch it back.
And I think that's the kind of thought process that you guys are along. So I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying this conspiracy theory is true, but don't listen to the experts and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I think it was one of those. He probably should have booked him for diving, really, if that's what it was, because he hasn't really made a decision, has he? Like, there's something in it. But yeah, in the end, it was inconsequential. Jord, any views you had from the main stand, or was it the same?
Yeah, from where I was, there was talk about whether the contact was outside the box or not, which I can understand. I actually felt it looked more obvious than the MK one. The MK one, it's a lot quicker. The guy sort of catches Raggett out by coming, the wrong side of him. Yeah. Whereas this, Pelly was clear. Like, he got past the man. He got through and got into the box. So it felt like there was more distance between the players, and he's clipped his ankles. Same as you though, sort of watching it back on the extended highlights a few times before we started this record. Even did a couple of like screenshots so I could sort of zoom in and see where the contact is and whatnot. I'm a little bit more of the opinion that perhaps it was a dive, or even if it wasn't, perhaps the way he's thrown his heels up has convinced the ref that it was a little bit too soft. But then I'm surprised he's not booked him.
Exactly. Yeah. One of those, but it didn't matter in the end, did it, Jord? We won the game 1-0. I think that's the first time, I'm just looking this up now, it's the first time someone stopped Salford scoring since Man City, who were pretty good, I think, on the 14th of Feb in the Cup. So, clearly a side that, as we said, they got a lot of firepower, and definitely impressive to come out with another clean sheet, 3 in a row. I mean, we had this question in from Simon, Tom. Can we have a shout out to our defence? Watching them yesterday, they're like poetry in motion. The way they cover each other, read each other, and move around each other on instinct now is a thing to behold. Credit to the coaching staff. This is why they are the best in the whole EFL, I think, as you said earlier. It is worth just mentioning it again, isn't it? 3 clean sheets in a week. Conceded, 28 goals, I think, throughout the whole season. That is... I'm going to say it. It is a platform, though, isn't it? It's such a massive thing to be able to have at your disposal that consistent all season. That's not something that's been since November. That's been in place all season.
A platform to what?
Platform to build on.
That's it. That's correct. Get it right.
Sorry.
Yeah, it is phenomenal, and I think we all kind of knew or sort of assumed that we'd be a pretty resolute, tough to beat team. I think that's the profile of team that Harris tends to build. but it's much better than we could have expected, really. Harris obviously takes a huge amount of credit. So we've not really mentioned much is Barrett as well, Adam Barrett, who obviously came in the summer as Harris's assistant. I know there's been a lot of chat about him on the message board following Saturday, and that's absolutely fair. You know, you look at the way that certain players have improved different bits of their game. Obviously, a lot of that is testament to players like James Gibbons, like Kel Watts, like Liam Bennett, who at different points of last season had you know, tricky times, and I think had weaknesses in their game exposed quite a lot against better opposition in League One. And you know, part of this is that they're playing at a level which will be more comfortable for them, because I think they're players who are, you know, very good at this level and would be in the conversation for the best in their positions individually across the league. But as a unit, we are just ridiculously difficult to break down. We conceded 12 goals at home. It's nearly April.
It's insane.
Ridiculous,
It's
really.
insane.
And it's kind of to the point where, like, actually you almost expect us to keep a clean sheet. And I know we've talked a lot about, are we creating enough? Are we good enough at the top end of the pitch when, you know, in the moments when it matters? But if you're as good as you are defensively, you can probably afford to be a bit average going forward, to be honest. Because I think, like, there's one thing being a tricky team to beat, and there's another, like, at times we're just not even conceding chances of any real quality. It's a totally different ball game, and you know, the fact that we've gone on one really long unbeaten run, what was it, 13 games I think, and now we're on a 9-game unbeaten run already. Like, that will just happen because teams just can't get at us. And the good thing is as well, like, you know, if we want to talk about building a team and moving forward, like, if we are to be promoted this season, which you know, obviously we're well on course to do, regardless of whether it's as champions, regardless of whether it's as champions in the top three, or you know, who knows, maybe through the playoffs if it goes that far. I think it translates pretty well into the level above as well.
Yeah.
So it does stand us in pretty good stead if we're going to be in games where we are going to have less of the ball, and we are going to you know, go into games as underdogs. If you have this sort of brick wall in front of League One's best sides, they are going to find it more difficult than maybe we were to beat at times during last season, the season before that, and the season before that even. So yeah, I think it's really good, and the fact that probably, you know, most of our shouts for player of the season are in the back, well, six, that just is as clear, you know, as clear an indicator as to how good we are at the back. I mean, it must be. It must be just like quite daunting, really, to like face us, especially if we score first in these games, because if we go ahead at the Abbey, we're pretty much won the game. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty much simple. I know there's a couple of notable examples at Chesterfield and MK where that didn't happen, but for the most part, you've just got to do enough to get yourself ahead, and you're probably going to see it through. So it's really good. I know that the conversation was going about the other end of the pitch. One thing we probably missed, and you know, I'm saying this a week after a 5-0 win, and we've played Tranmere and scored 4 against them, not too long in the past. But I do wonder if there might be times where that might cost us a little bit, to be honest.
We had this question from Jack. Sorry to interrupt. He said, with a harder run in than the teams below us, do you think our lack of goal/creativity could be our downfall? Again, we dominated a team without creating many clear chances, yet could have drawn the game by giving them just that one clear-cut chance, which is obviously Graydon's he's talking about. Draws could end up costing us. What's your take on that? And also, it's worth mentioning, like, Bromley have won 3 games, won by 1 goal margin, 1-0. They've only scored more than 1 goal once in their last 9. So I kind of think there's probably a similar thing going on there, and they're probably having similar conversations. There's a lot of draws in there for them. So do you think that's something that could cost us?
I think it has the potential to cost us. Like, I'm not too worried about, like, MK, for example, because I think they're a team who will just. I know they got beaten on Saturday, but I think they'll just. They've got enough quality just to motor on. I just look at, like, and again, like, you kind of making judgments based on just one result and one situation. But I look at Cheltenham's game. Sorry, not Cheltenham. Well, it was Cheltenham's game, but Notts Cheltenham game yesterday, which obviously finishes 5-2 to Notts, and like, Notts have a hairy start to the game. They go a goal behind. They go 2-1 up. They get pegged back to 2-2, and then just, like, seem to have just blitzed Cheltenham in the second half, and that's something that. I'm not sure we've quite demonstrated that level of firepower on too many occasions this season. Again, I'm contradicting myself already, but like we obviously beat a very, 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 very poor Gillingham side and put them to the sword really effectively. But other than that, there probably aren't really any examples of it. And I think that's the one thing that would concern me a little bit, because there might be situations in games where you do need to get out of first gear and you do need to really stick it on a team. And I'm not saying that we don't have the ability to do it, but I'm just concerned about how frequently we're going to be able to do that. But I suppose the good thing is, the games that are going to decide our season, which are basically the home games against Notts and Swindon. I know there's 6 other games other than that, but it's pretty much them. Like they're your crunch games. They're the sort of games that will be decided on, for quite fine margins, and not necessarily. Or you would expect they're not going to be kind of basketball matches. They are going to be very nip and tuck, and it's going to be about who can be the hardest to beat and who can keep things as solid as possible. And you would back in every outcome that to be us, really. So I suppose the answer is like maybe, but I think I think the flip side of it is we're just so good defensively that I don't think it's going to be the downfall that you think. It's too easy to just say that because we're not free flowing, free scoring team like one or two others around us, then we're going to fall short. But I know it's arguably the more boring bit of the game, but it's probably the most important thing. I suppose the old cliche is that goals win you games and defenses win you titles, and I think that's probably or I would like to think that that's something that we'll look back on in what is it now, 5-6 weeks, and go, yeah, absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Just on the goal point, I guess the downside to Saturday was Harris after the game saying that Kouassi's got another injury and might not be back until the very end of the season. So you're limiting options further in the attack.
Someone did say that. I mean, I didn't really clock it, but when he came on against Gillingham, he A, looked a bit leggy, and B, pulled up with something, or they thought someone around us said that they'd saw him pull up with something. So that is a bit of a blow, because I was quite looking forward to him. I think we talked about Apre and his hold-up play. I think Kouassi would just slot into this side so well. But anyway, that is the way it is. I think that's a pretty good summary there, Tom, to be honest. And the only other thing I'd add is that we talk about clean sheets a lot, and obviously clean sheets are brilliant, and they're obviously famously a platform. But you could also just talk about zeros and ones, in the sense that how many teams have scored 2 goals against us? Swindon, Shrewsbury, Harrogate. There must be another one that I can't remember. But Notts did it, obviously, at their place.
Yeah.
So what's that for? Not that 2 of them are. I think we're a very different side in August and October compared to now. So if you want to say on this run, only one side, being Harrogate, have scored more than 1 goal against us, it just means we're always in a game. Because you can be as solid as you like, and someone can score from 30 yards, or there is enough quality in other sides that they can score a goal. But if you're limiting it to a goal almost always, you're always in the game. That's like Accrington's a good example of that. Like, you're always in that game and always able to take something from it and keep momentum moving, which I think is probably what Bromley are saying as well. Let's have a little, while we're doing this running chat, let's summarise where the league table's at. Bromley won 1-0 again. They're on 79 points top. MK lost, as we said, 3-1. They're on 74 in second. We're third on 72. With a game less, so we played 38. Notts County, same as us, on 70 points. Swindon 69 points, 39 games, and Salford 67 points, 39 played. So we've still got that game in hand, and I'm pretty sure Notts do as well. Yeah, they play Oldham away on Tuesday night, which is their game in hand. So hopefully Oldham can do us a favour there, and things will start looking quite pretty. Last 5 games were equal on points with Notts. 9 last 10 equal as well, 19, and ahead of Swindon 8 and 17 respectively. So we are sort of tracking pretty well. Obviously, we've got that game in hand as well over Swindon, which hopefully we can make the most of. Jord, let's do a little history lesson. This is coming to you. Adam's asked, anyone else remember the 98-99 season top 3 battle? This feels like it all over again. I'd love us to get the title this time. Do you want to do a bit of a lesson for any younger listeners who might not remember these years?
Come gather round, children. Listen to Grandpa. Hear the tale of the first League 2 promotion that I saw. Of course, it wasn't League 2 back then, Julian. It was Division 3.
Division 3.
It's a funny name, isn't it? For context, I'm of an age where my family deemed me not old enough to take me to, the Wembley playoff final under Beck and those early glorious seasons in the 90s. So I started going sort of 94, 95-ish, just as we started going downhill, which was great, thanks to me. But yeah, 98, 99 terrific season, lovely season. Happy to talk about this one. Yes, Adam is right. It is similar in closeness, and also it's similar in the fact that there were some big games towards the end of the season, and there were two that really stand out for me. Top of the table clashes. The first one was we hosted Cardiff, who were top of the time, and it must have been around this time of year, maybe a little bit later, because it was. I remember it being quite a nice warm day, and it was the old allotment end, and it was packed out. And I remember this game, and I looked it up earlier to see if I could find any reference of it, and I can't. So I'm hoping I'm not making this up. I'm hoping someone listening to this will remember this. But in the build up to that game against Cardiff, the club got someone in to come to training. I can't remember if it was a former player or like a former member of staff or coach or whatever, but came to the training ground to teach the players some words in Welsh, because apparently at set pieces, Cardiff were using the Welsh language to sort of say specific things. So must have worked, because we won that one. It was a really tight game. We won it 2-0 in the end. The other top of the table clash is the more famous one, which I know you two probably know, and Julian, you even saw me reference it in my speech at my wedding. But yeah, we the final game of the season, we hosted Brentford. So I think with about 7 games to go, we were top. We were 2 points ahead of Cardiff and 6 ahead of Brentford. So different to the situation that we find ourselves in now, where we are the team that's chasing. But yeah, we were being chased, and Brentford, similar to MK Dons, they had a big budget. Ron Nodes, I think the chairman was. They spent a lot of money in the January. They were chasing us down, and they caught us, and they went top, and they went top for the first time that season in the penultimate game. So they timed it just right, and yeah, we went into the final game of the season, basically having to win. We had a game in hand which we lost, so we went into this sort of final day showdown. And whenever I hear the term "the Abbey always delivers," I think back to that Brentford game, because it didn't that day, and we should have won.
It's the exception that proves the rule, though, Jord.
Absolutely. And we lost, and it was devastating. But for a bonus point, can anyone tell me who the Brentford goalkeeper was that day? Looking at you, Tom.
Yeah, this has got Tom written all over it. I mean, I'm not sure.
I'll give you a clue. It's in reference to the title race this season.
Oh, is it? No.
Woodman.
It's Andy Woodman.
Oh,
yeah, Andy Woodman was in
good
goal for Brentford.
stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of comparisons in terms of those big games, those big feelings. Completely different teams, though. Under McFarlane, we were really attacking. We had the two at the end of the season, if I'm remembering it correctly. The golden boot was won by Butler and Taylor. They both scored 17 goals, so we had joint winners, and even Trevor Benjamin scored 10. So what's that, like 40 plus goals from 3 players? We were very different to the super defense that we've just been talking about for the last hour here. But yeah.
Who was your favourite player in that squad as a young nipper?
I really loved Alex Russell and Martin Butler. Those were the two for me. And what was interesting about that season as well, we started with a 4-4-2, and I can't remember the game. It might have been Scarborough away. We lost.
Scarborough away.
Yeah.
I knew you'd like that. I was waiting to say that.
And McFarlane changed the formation. He went to 4-3-3, and we didn't look back. And it feels, again, parallels to the changing of the 4-2-3-1 to the back five that we've been playing. So yeah, lots of parallels, and hopefully the same result.
And the Lockdown Legends team, when we found that diamond and that sort of started working, if my memory serves me right. Yeah, it's good. Very lovely. That I could listen to that all night. You talking?
Are you ready to go to bed now, Julian?
Yeah,
that was just story.
Absolutely.
Shall I tuck you in and get your glass of milk?
Absolutely knackered. Too much celebrating yesterday. Let's wrap it up there. Obviously, Coconut Tier members, you're going to get some run-in stuff over the next few weeks. So £5 a month if you want to get your sort of Cambridge United season ticket of content under theabbeystand.com. Plenty of audio and articles happening there. And more importantly, don't be a round dodger. We saw someone in the Swan yesterday, a listener, who came over and said hello. And I think I accidentally quite aggressively asked him if he was a coconut tier member. And he said no, and I just walked away from him. So I'm sorry if you're listening. I wasn't.
No, don't apologize. No, don't,
No,
don't
I mean, I could
apologise.
have dealt with
Don't
it better, Tom.
apologise.
He's not going to sign up if I have a pop at him, is he? Is he? That's your approach.
Well, you have to ask yourself, what sort of coconut tier members do we want in this? Do we want people who are going to run at the first sign of trouble, people who are up for it and are going to stick with it?
I think I actually said to him, "Do you want to buy me a pint then instead?" But yes, and obviously the Old Spring, our drinking partners, plenty of great Cambridge United deals there. George, it's been-
Drinking partners is a great way of saying it.
I love it. Yeah.
You know, like, because you see,
Especially
like,
as you were just telling a story about being in the Swan. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I had to get to the station, so
you see,
someone-
you see so many like top flight football clubs, you know, having like a hydration partner or like I don't know, like
a
a
wellness
cryotherapy
partner or
partner.
something. Yeah,
And we're like, get yourself down to the Old Spring. We'll have a good old knees up.
half-price pints, lads. You'll love it. George, it's been a pleasure. Nice, fun pod. Plenty more, hopefully.
pleasure's been all mine. I'm off to go watch highlights from the 98-99 season.
Maybe we should do a full pod on that season, George, at some point for the Coconut Tier members. That would be lovely. Tom, absolute pleasure.
Yeah, not wrong. As a great man once said, platform. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
Too much celebrating. Too much
so
celebrating.
close.
Right at the end as well. Oh, that's a real balls up. A wise man once said, clean sheets are a platform to build on.
And you're labelled a prat.
And that's the game.
And that's the game.